Dustin Tibbetts here, financial advisor with Jazz Wealth Managers. How's it going today? Having a good day? I'm going to make this really quick. I'm going to go through this in a very quick way. It's something a bit of a question that I get a lot. Dustin, tell me about ETFs. Just give me the overview. Let me know how things are going here from a very basic perspective. So that's what we're going to focus on here today. Now, exchange traded funds, that's what ETFs stand for, and so we're going to actually focus on those. You probably are very familiar with mutual funds. Now, most people just buy mutual funds. They don't really question what's inside of them, but mutual funds are made up of a basket of stocks. Exchange traded funds, or ETFs, are also just a massive basket of different stocks. So let's use a specific example. I'm going to use the ETF that the ticker symbol is XLP, right? And XLP, this is a consumer staples ETF. Now, what are consumer staples? Consumer staples are the products that you're going to buy no matter what the economy is going to do. You're going to, this is not a very nice way to say this, I'm sorry. It's just how my dad taught me. Consumer staples are, in whether a good economy or a bad economy, you are going to eat, drink, smoke, poop, wash your hands, and then brush your teeth, right? Any product that benefits from you eating, drinking, smoking, pooping, washing your hands, and then brushing your teeth, and hopefully drying your hands when you're done, that's what these companies do. So the XLP is all of the companies that benefit from that. I'll name a few. Procter & Gamble, right? You've heard of Procter & Gamble. These guys make dish soap. They make toothpaste, Crest, I believe, toilet paper, paper towels, things like that. Things you're going to buy either way. So if you buy the XLP, just the one product, you're getting access to Procter & Gamble. You could probably guess a few others. You're getting access to Coke. You're getting access to like Pepsi. Walmart's in there, right? Because Walmart, you're going to go shopping at Walmart. You're probably going to look for a better deal at smoking, right? Philip Morris, they're going to be in there. Now, you can say, our customers can do this. They can say, I want to participate in consumer staples, but I've got something against smoking. I just don't want to invest in that. We can pull that right out for you. Here's the thing. Inside of this, when you buy the XLP, you are getting a certain percentage of PG, a certain percentage of Walmart, Pepsi, Coke, etc. It's up to these guys that accept your money all day long. You just buy this XLP, and everybody else on the planet's buying the XLP. They get this big old chunk of money from people buying their investment, and they get to decide how much of each they want to buy. It's not even. Now, our consumer staples fund here at Jazz Wealth that we build and manage, we just call it the Consumer Staples Fund. We don't have a fancy ticker symbol for it. We just like to spread evenly, and I'll explain why in a second. But for example, in the XLP, you're going to get of PG, Procter & Gamble, about 15% of all the money you invest in the XLP is going to go towards Procter & Gamble. That's just how they currently do it. Coca-Cola, they're going to take about 10% of your investment and put it in Coca-Cola. So this is the largest position they have, by the way, and it can change. They can adjust this at any time, they can adjust this at any time, and so on and so on. So that's what they do with your money. So here you go, you're investing in one product, the ETF. You just simply buy one share of the XLP or however much you're trying to buy, and that one share, whatever that adds up to, I don't know what XLP is trading for right now. Can I actually... Let me see if I could just check it for you real quick. The XLP is currently trading around $55. So you put in $55, and of that, 15% goes here, 10% here, 10 here, 9 here, 8 there, and that's how it all works, right? So what does that get you, right? Their goal is to achieve a certain return versus whatever their target objective is. Their goal is just to be in the consumer staples space. And what they're trying to do is sort of replicate how much you would participate if you just bought the S&P 500. What's kind of like the general weighting? Now, what we do at Jazz Wealth, we actually do it a little bit different. I'll just zoom in one more time. Actually, it's not working. Sorry about that. So what we do at Jazz Wealth is we say, okay, the XLP has their way of weighting it. Our consumer staples fund here at Jazz Wealth, what we do is we do it evenly. There's about 30 stocks in there at the moment, But for like Procter & Gamble, you're going to find you have about 3.3% in Procter & Gamble. Whereas over here, you had the 15%, right? So you're going to be more spread out with us. We're not going to go as heavy in there. Here's what happens. You go, well, great, Dustin, the XLP is just going to beat you. Better returns are always going to be there. Actually, doesn't work out to be the case. If you were to track the performance of the XLP, you'd see like, oh, there's all this sort of movement, everything goes fine. If you were to track the performance of our exchange-traded fund, you're going to see things like this, right? There are moments in time where the XLP can beat our fund because we're evenly spread. If Procter & Gamble has a good run, okay, for a moment in time, that's a heavily weighted part of their portfolio. If that one stock does well, it could beat our returns a little bit. What we do is we say we don't actually want to go to a customer and say, sorry, we got a little too heavy in one position and they did poorly. We'd rather be diversified. If our returns can be essentially the same over time and not take that extra risk, we're going to do that. It doesn't mean that the XLP is bad. It just means that that's their direction. They want to adjust more actively, maybe do something a little different there. So that's how that works. Now, that is just for consumer staples. There's ETFs for everything, right? You may say, oh, I read this book, and the book said you should only invest in index funds, yada yada, fees and costs and everything, and you can't beat this or that. Okay, fine. But for those of you that say, I want to be involved in a certain area, I like retail. Maybe I want to be in the retail space. They've been sort of beaten down a little bit. I want to be invested in that. Well, there's a couple you can look at. The XRT and the RTH are two different ETFs that focus on retail. Now, one is not necessarily better than the other, but they do have different goals. And so if you're going to look at ETFs that are sector related, for whatever reason, it doesn't mean that it's wrong or right, you just prefer to invest in retail, you want to look at how they spread the money out. Remember, you're buying shares of this or buying shares of that, and they get to decide how they want to spread the money. In the XRT, their biggest position is let's say 1.34. I don't remember what it is. At the moment, it's actually Carvana, the online car shopping place. So at the moment, their biggest position is 1.34%. And then as you look down, you get like 1.33, 1.32. They really spread out over the retail sector. Over here, RTH, they get a bit of a bad rap. You really have to want to invest in Amazon because 20% of the entire RTH is made up of Amazon. They just feel like that's where they want to invest right now. Maybe they're right. I mean, obviously Amazon's done well. It doesn't mean that that's a bad fund or anything, but you want to know the difference. If you bought the RTH and you thought, I have a diversified portfolio of retail stocks, not really. You have 20% of Amazon, right? Now, that's the difference there. So an exchange-traded fund, no matter what the symbol is a basket of stocks, okay? So there's the oldest one. You want to know the oldest original exchange-traded fund out there is a symbol called SPY. That's the very first ETF that was ever created. Still to this day, it's by far the most popular ETF out there, the largest out of all of them, and all that is the S&P 500. It's the first index ETF that came out. And what they do is they just replicate the S&P 500. For those people that don't know how to just buy the S&P 500 and not pay an exchange-traded fund and not have to deal with it, you can buy this one symbol and own the entire S&P 500, 505 stocks. And so these guys will never, ever say, let's go like 20% in one stock or the other. They're just going to simply replicate the S&P 500. Because of that, it's a very inexpensive exchange-traded fund, but that's it. So an exchange-traded fund is very similar to a mutual fund in the sense that it's a basket of stocks. I say that, and I bring this up to you today because I get the question a lot. They say, Dustin, I'm going to join you. I'm ready to invest with you. And then as we get set up, they say, I don't want to invest in stocks. I only want to invest in exchange-traded funds. I'm scared of stocks. And that's sort of odd because I think it's just communication education here to say, exchange traded funds are made up of stocks, right? So you really want to know that before you get started. I hope that helped you today. If it helped you in some way, maybe you'll hit the subscribe button and check us out over at jazzwealth.com. You have a great rest of your day. We'll see you later for the closing beat. Enjoy.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.